It says excellent condition. How can that be? How can that be? How can there be excellent condition when I have satellite internet and there's a storm passing overhead right now? Technology's so dumb. Hi, welcome to my tube. My name's Marge. I'm a Heyoka empath. I just like having these little talks in the way I feel about things. This one's gonna be a tough one. Yep. I was gonna do a talk last night. I was debating, actually. I was like, well, should I do a talk tonight? You know, I mean, just things are just getting crazy. I'm just gonna be more of the same, you know. And then I got a message. Got a message at 6:48 last night. Woman asked me if I knew Jessica, and so I called her, and I was informed that my sister Jessica was killed on Friday in a motorcycle accident in Phoenix, Arizona. And she just came back into my life since I lived here, so I am very blessed and grateful that we got the last. She knew that I loved her. Yeah, she was a passenger on the back of my motorcycle, man. I don't think she had a helmet on. And, she died at the hospital. The young man who was driving the motorcycle died on scene. And then they took her.
They both died?
Yeah, so, I didn't do a talk last night. Because when this stuff happens, man, it's so weird how energy and emotion, or I look at emotions as frequency. You know, for every emotion there's a frequency, a tune, and stuff like this happens, and you know, it's just like I go numb. I go into the ethers, you know. And Mom said it last night. That's why I named this talk what I named it, is because it just, things happen in life sometimes, and it just breaks your whole heart, you know. And she had her struggles in life just like I did, you know. Only she didn't have a mom like mine. You know, her mom was not as kind and loving, and you know, and she had a hard time, and I am just so grateful that she's at peace. You know, she's at peace and she's not hurting anymore. And unfortunately, through the course of these exchanges with her boss, I found out that I had a nephew that died also in an overdose a couple years ago, you know. And it just really, it makes me think about, you know, these family how much pain, you know, that people go through in life, that people are really, really hurting, and people, you know, and this is, I didn't know how it was going to impact me, because when certain planetary alignments come up in astrology, that we have these potentials, you know, it doesn't mean that these things are going to happen. It just means that they can. And historically, when these alignments have happened, that things have happened, but it doesn't mean it's going to now. Yeah. And this impacts people individually in their lives, you know, like tower moments, you know. And people, I've been hearing all this stuff about September 24th, you know, September, like some huge, nothing, you know, like on the world stage. You know, maybe there's weather in New Zealand, there's weather here and there, you know, stuff like that. But what I think of it is this stuff happens, has a propensity to happen to people in their lives individually. So to me, nothing really big on the planet happened on a planetary level, but finding out that I lost my sister, who's 9 years younger than me. She just turned 38. Yeah, that was the tower moment. That was And it's been hard because I've been upset. Mom doesn't have much of a memory, so I've just been having to re-explain it all day long too. Why you upset, Mom? My sister died. And it's just So I had to call my brother last night. It's not my favorite thing to do, and tell him so he could tell our dad, because my dad doesn't answer the phone when I call. So just how it is. And but I called him this morning to offer my condolences, and said my piece to him, just like I did last time I talked to him. But I just felt like it was the right thing to do. And then I went out in the world today. I just, because that's what I do. When I don't know what to do with myself, I just get active. And so Mom and I went down to the park this morning and had a nice visit. Yeah? Yeah, went out in the fresh air. And I was supposed to go look at this trailer this afternoon for us to move into. And I showed up at the time and nobody was there.
You were the only one there.
Yeah, nobody was there. And so because I just went there to tell them to thank you, and their place was beautiful, but $1,400 a month is too much for us.
That is a lot.
And plus that place is so nice and stuff. A family really should live there.
Yeah.
So I went. Well, nobody was there when I was there, and then I came home to check on you, got you some lunch, and then when I came home, they had messaged saying that they were running late, and so I went back over there.
Hear that?
What?
Sounded like somebody shot something.
Did it? Probably. Kitty.
I shot it. It was more like a weapon.
So, and we went to the park, and then
Were there many people there?
well, you were there.
Huh?
Yeah, it was Sunday. And then God, I'm just really having a hard time.
But you're dealing with a lot of things at one time, and that's hard.
All right, so I went and looked at the place, and then, but it's just so weird that when this stuff happens, it's happened like this my whole entire life, that when there's a big life blow, when there's something that just kind of takes the air out of my sails that happens, that something else happens to like compensate for it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, with all this stuff with Jessica, I also last night, I'd been posting on Facebook all over the place on these marketplaces, on these pages that you and I need a place to go, and I had gotten an answer last night on one of them. Like at the same, like I just had gotten the news about Jessica, right? I just got off the phone with the woman. I'm just like, I'm just like in shock still, right? And I got a notification, and somebody responded to one of my my comments about needing a place for you and me if we had found a place yet. And I said no, not yet. And he left me his phone number, and asked that I called him. And I asked if I could call him at another time, could I just found out that my sister died. And he was like, oh my God, and like I just found out. And he was like, yeah, we'll call whenever, whenever. And so, but I called him back this morning, and it was a busy day this morning. And I explained my situation, and so we made an appointment, and he has a place, and he just sounded like he really wanted to help work with me and Mom.
Wow.
To let us have a place to stay and not to live and not have to worry about moving in a year.
have to do
or
that.
yeah, and the cool part of it is, the really beautiful part of it is that it has like a place for a garden, you said, and it's on a stream. It's next to a stream, little
A
creek,
stream?
a creek.
Oh,
Yeah, so we'll get our
wow.
running water, our stream back. So
And hear that the
yeah.
running.
You know, life is just so fragile, and people go on, they live their lives every day, and they think that, you know, because they were given the day before, that somehow they're guaranteed a day tomorrow, and that's just not how it is. And I think a lot of people are so ugly to other people in the world because they're so afraid that when these people are gone, that they're gonna be alone, and they sit in that fear of being alone, instead of sitting in the love of that you have with the people around you. And it's tough, you know, because it's easier to just be in fear, to be mad about everything, right? It's always been easier for me to just, well, if I'm mad, people stay away from me. That's not what life is about. No, life is about taking risks and putting your heart out there. And, you know, and that's one thing, is that she knew how much I loved her.
How old was she?
38. She just turned 38.
What was her name?
Jessica. Sorry. I just don't want to talk about, I don't want to say it anymore. So don't ask anymore today, alright? Because Ugh. Then after I took Mom to the park this morning, I just I came home and brought her home, got her some lunch, and then I went back to the park, and then for a little while, and then that's when I went and got I went like 3 times today. I just, because the same people were still there. They just hang out there all day long, right? So, and I went and walked around downtown. They had some car show going on. I just have been just in a daze, you know, just in a daze, just in the ethers. That's what I call it. It just feels like, I was talking to my Earth Angel this morning, and I said, I just am floating through life. I just feel like I'm floaty, and just like nothing's real and stuff. And she, I know she can understand. She can relate, because she's been through worse than me, and she was sharing with me her experience, that it's always different, that when you lose people, you know, like, because it's different than when you lose young people than it is when they're older and they've lived their full life, you know. And it's different than when it's a relative and then it's a friend. It feels different. Loss is just, it impacts people in so many different ways. And what I had to make the decision to do is the first thing I did is I recommitted to my abstinence in alcohol. That's the first thing I did. Is as sad as I am about it, is that I will honor her memory by not getting wasted. Yeah, by not wasting my life. So, and the second time when I went to the park today, and the third time, there was a guy there. It was like I came and then he showed up, and he was drunk, and he was drunk this morning at 10:30, and I was just like, just walk away, dude. Just walk away, you know, because you know I don't really like. It's not my favorite thing to do, to try and freaking make somebody feel better about their choices when I disagree with them. 10:30 in the morning, wasted. And it's like that all over the place. And then see, when stuff like this happened, God gives me these silver linings. He gives me these little gifts of knowing. And I went to this grocery store that I don't go to ordinarily. People were talking about getting some chicken, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go get some chicken. And then when I went there, I decided not to get the chicken, but I got other things. And it was just that whole experience was just a kind of a trip oven by itself, just that whole exchange. And when I was leaving, it was so weird. I walked out the front door, and I'm standing there, and I see my landlord. She's like 10 feet from me, and she's walking into the store, and I look right at her, right? And she looks right at me, or through me, I should say. She just like didn't even acknowledge, because I was going to be like, man, it's so funny. I never come here and I see you here, you know? And she was in her own world, right? We were not on the same frequency. She was like, she just didn't even, you know, didn't even recognize me. And it was just such a weird, and then later I got a message that she wanted to come over. And I was like, nah, today's not a good day. I'm still processing my experiences, my life. So, not a good time for me. But, just people are just so consumed, you know? They're so consumed by pain and hurt feelings and all that stuff that they can't see the good stuff, you know? Is that I watched a woman I know lose her son 5 months ago. 'Cause 14 years old. Cool kid, you know? Has a twin brother, you know? Goes to school, his teacher gives him a granola bar, 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 3:30 the next morning, they were disconnecting his life support, taking him off oxygen, and they had to say goodbye. And it's just, you know, either you get to a point, if you get to live long enough, that either you really start valuing and appreciating life and finding the beautiful things in life, even through all the tragedy, because I don't care who people are, everybody's got their tragedies, you know? Sometimes there's even tragedy in not having tragedy, you know? Just because you're not having these experiences. And I've always, from when I was a little girl, I understood that we're spiritual beings and we're having a human experience. Right? And people just, they don't understand that. They just see that, you know, they think that they're driving their own ship and that they're immortal, and then they go out and they do things that cause harm. And it was kind of an ironic thing back when my father and I had a relationship. We don't have one anymore because I kept trying I stopped calling, because once I came to the realization that he didn't really want to have anything to do with me, because I was always going to be mom's caregiver, that he didn't want to know me so much. So I stopped calling, and he never called me. So that fixed that. Sometimes Creator, God, call whatever you want, good orderly direction, does for us, you know, does things for us that we can't do for ourselves. And I don't really spend too much trying to make sense of things. I never did that. I never thought I'd make sense of things. Are you the mama? You want to go outside? Come on. Come on. Come on. You can go outside. I'll let you out, sweet girl. You're so cute. Yeah, you're knocked up Nancy too. So the things that I've taken away and since yesterday, and the shift in my world, is that I was explaining today, because just people are hostile everywhere, man. Dude, the kid that just got his German Shepherd back freaking was asking what he should do for his dog because somebody freaking stabbed it in the head with a knife, and it has a big gash in its head. And I'm just like, people are just so, they're crazy. They're just freaking crazy. And if your life hasn't been touched by it, it's gonna be. Everybody gets their chance to ride, man. Everybody gets their chance to ride. Everybody does. So, some takeaways that I've I know what to do. I got my spiritual toolbox of what I can do to stay even keel. You know, and it was so weird when I called my brother to tell him last night, he's like, well, Margie, you know, I understand how important it is to you that you're a good daughter, that you're a good aunt, that you're a good. I know that that's really important, but you have to understand this is not. There's nothing that you can do to, there's nothing that you could have done. I'm like, like, don't go off the deep end. Like, you couldn't have saved her. You couldn't have fixed her. And I was like, yeah, I haven't probably been like that in 12 years, but how would you know? You know what I mean? And I was just ready to let them do it all. Because I'm like, you tell Dad, You talk to the detective. You do it. He and my dad ain't never really done us no favors, me or Jessica, and he'll admit that himself, but it was important to me that I let her know, especially in this last year, because I was messaging her real regular, and I was trying to help her out when we could, and so she wouldn't feel alone. And on the 17th, I was scrolling through my feed on Facebook, and I saw this post, and I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And I looked, and she had posted it on September 17th. She did. And it says, to my sister, I hope you know how special you are to me. If I don't say it enough, just want you to know that I love you to the moon and back.